Hey, what's up, all my positive people? Welcome back to the Permanent Lifestyle Podcast, your home for positive, informative, and life-changing conversations. And today, we have a really cool conversation for you. We're going to be talking about traveling during COVID. I know COVID-19 has stymied a lot of people's travel plans and travel arrangements out there. So I thought it'd be good to talk to an actual expert, travel expert. So I brought in my friend, Veronica Sharp, who is a travel agent for AAA. She has over 25 years experience in the travel industry. And in this episode, she's gonna tell us the do's and the do-nots of traveling during COVID. So check this episode out, get your pens and pencils out, and get ready to get a ton of value on how you can still travel during COVID. And welcome to the Permanent Lifestyle Podcast, your home for positive, informative, and life-changing conversations and content. And as always, our podcast is hosted by William Schultz. We hope you enjoy today's episode. All right, everybody. How are all my positive people out there doing? Welcome to the Permanent Lifestyle Podcast. This is your home for positive, informative, and life-changing content. We have a great show today, especially for those of you out there that are into travel. I have a travel expert, by the name of Veronica Sharp. She's based out of Northern California, and she's been working in the travel industry for over 20 years. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about traveling during the pandemic. If you guys are like me and you love to travel and you want to get out of your hometown, but you're kind of scared and don't know where to go or don't know what to do, we're going to answer a lot of those kind of questions and hopefully put some of those fears to rest. And maybe not. Maybe it isn't a good time to travel. We don't know. We'll find all those things out today as we talk with Veronica. Veronica, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here. So I always like to start off the show with how I met my guests and how we know each other. So this story is somewhat unique, but maybe not unique for those of us that are on LinkedIn. So I met Veronica, I believe, through a post from Gary V. I think you would maybe have commented on that. And we kind of started going back and forth, and then we connected with each other on LinkedIn, and we just started engaging with each other's content. And Veronica's just been really awesome on LinkedIn. She's got a lot of positive energy, posts a lot of informative stuff, seems to have a really good following. People really seem to be drawn to her. And one day we were just kind of talking, and I was like, hey, would you want to be on the podcast? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. So here we are today. So Veronica, we want to get to know you a little bit. Tell us, where are you from, and how long have you been in the travel business?
I am originally from San Salvador, Central America, and I came to the United States when I was really young, about 8.5 years old. And I was raised in San Francisco, California, and I've been in the business for over 20 years, pretty much.
Wow. So how did you get into the travel business?
Well, since I was a child, I always loved geography, learning about. I always took atlas out, look at the globe, and it was always in me. Like I've always had this as a kid, and just once I knew that you can have a degree in travel and tourism, I was like, that sounds like fun. So I went to school for travel and tourism. Also went to a specific type of certification for travel. So that's where I started learning about it.
Hold on, we got to back up here for a second. You're telling me you can get a degree in travel? I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah, it's called travel and tourism or hospitality.
What? Wow. So where did you go to school?
I went to City College of San Francisco, and then I got my certification from the San Francisco School of Travel.
So is the degree in travel and tourism, is that like a 2-year degree, 4-year degree? How does that work?
2 years. 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go as far as 4 years if you choose to. So it depends. Usually they call it hospitality.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, that alone right there, I think brings some value to our audience, because I know so many people that love to travel and want to get involved with travel, but this alone, all right, show's over, guys. Thanks for joining in. We brought value. We're done. Drop the mic. Let's go home. No. I think people would really love to get in that. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, I know. It shocks everybody.
Yeah.
Like
So how did you
what?
get your start? What was your first gig in the travel industry?
I started with a travel tour company that booked tours to Hawaii and Mexico. That's how I started. And then I went into a full agency because back in the days, you know, they had agencies, you can walk on the streets and they had places, right? And so I learned from them, from the travel agency. And then I also worked for an airline. I worked for United Airlines as well.
So when you were booking these tours, did you go on the tours yourself? Did you get to experience them, or like how do
So,
you?
yeah.
Okay. So you got
Yeah.
to part of your job. You got to travel as well.
Yep.
Then very
Yep.
nice, very nice. And what did you do at the airline?
The airline, I actually did customer service for a little bit, and that was interesting itself.
Dealing with
Yeah, it was.
dealing with
Oh
customers.
yeah, absolutely. You're just like, boy. And I remember a psychologist telling me, "You only have a degree in psychology." I'm like, I think so, because you know everybody, and I understand travel. Travel is very it's kind of like you're not in control and you have
Yeah,
somebody else controlling. So I think that's what kind of makes people uneasy, you know, when you're not
sure,
in control. And I get it. I totally get it.
sure. No, that makes sense. So, so you were talked about back in the days. There was travel agencies. I'm old enough to know travel
Oh,
agencies.
okay.
Be little office fronts, and you kind of would go in there and agents would book their book your trips. How has that changed? So from what is a travel expert, consultant, travel agent? What do you do now?
Now, I mean, what we do is what people don't realize. Like, you know, you can go on Google and type, I want a trip to Mexico. But the thing that travel agents are a little bit different is that we're constantly going to school. We get webinars, we get certifications. So what we do that's a little bit different is we know the product very well. So if you were to tell me Mexico, I would ask certain questions from you to qualify, okay, this person, you know, it would be good for you to go here, you know, because the difference is that back in the day, people would rely on our expertise. Right now, you can just go online and book, and you know, I mean, we get it as travel consultants that you have the internet, and that's great. But what I've noticed, I would say, in the last before COVID-19, of course, people would always research, but then always come to us because they're like, you know, you want to feel like, oh, is this good? Is this a good place to go? Like
Yeah,
our advice, you know,
right.
because you know, as you know, you book on the internet, there's also been problems booking on the internet because with
Sure.
us, you can always come to us and we'll always be on your side to help you out. I mean, it's a vacation, it's your dream. You work hard for it. You want to have it to go hassle free for sure.
Sure.
And that's my main objective for sure.
So, all right, let's do a little role play here. So, let's say I want to book a trip to Dominican Republic. Okay, so I
Uh-huh.
want to go there. So I've heard great things about it. So I'm gonna hit you up and say, hey, Veronica, I want to go to Dominican Republic. What are you
Mhm.
gonna tell me? Let's just do a quick back and forth here.
Yeah, the first thing I would ask how many people, of course.
So
And then I would ask, where have you traveled before?
so me myself, I'm just gonna go down there by myself. I met a
Okay.
friend. I met a friend online, and I'm gonna meet them down there. But we don't really know where to go. So I've traveled to Mexico. I've traveled to Puerto Rico. I've traveled to Bahamas, and I've traveled to Costa Rica. So those
Mm.
are kind of my travel experiences.
Yeah, and the benefit about Dominican Republic is that a lot of the resorts are all inclusive.
Okay.
So you definitely want to stay like at you know, moderate to a little bit above moderate category of hotel stay
Okay.
because you know, you're going to be it's like you're going to have a lot of food, you know. And of course, now going back to COVID-19, back before this happened, you know, that was one of the popular thing about the Republic, that you can get an all-inclusive resort that includes your food, your drinks, and
Okay.
sports.
Is
And
it safe?
so
Is it safe to be in the Dominican Republic?
um like anywhere you travel, you definitely want to stay at the resort. You don't want to, ever wander off, because like anywhere, even in the United States, if you're not familiar with certain places, it can always be dangerous for sure.
Sure, sure.
Hmm.
All right,
Yep.
cool, cool. So for all you guys out there listening, you want to, I know for myself, I've booked trips online, gone there, and wasn't always what I like. I really think what the value that an agent is bringing is that they can kind of tell you about things you're not going to find in the reviews. You're not going to find, obviously Expedia is not going to tell you, be careful, don't come here. They're trying to sell hotels. They're trying to sell trips. They're going to tell you everything is great and show you beautiful
Right,
pictures. There's only so
exactly.
much you can
Absolutely.
learn. So you're able to give them a more in-depth look into what that trip could be like.
Hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome.
Hmm.
I mean, I definitely think that, like I think I told you, I was like, my next trip, I'm gonna definitely hit you up.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do travel agents make money these days then with all these
That's a
competition?
very good, yeah, because in a travel agency, you have two types of agents. I work with the company that I work with. They're have front agents, but there's a lot of them that actually work from home. And
Okay.
so some of them are commission driven. So they make commission of whatever they book and whatever their agency, there's a certain percentage they keep. With other companies, like if you work for a specific company, they have like a certain, like you make your goals, and if you make your goals, you are able to get something extra. So that's how it's kind of broken down. Hmm.
Is it still a good business, you think, for people to get into? Let's say, a young kid, 20 years old, getting close to finishing up college. Is it a good business for them to get into?
It is, because if you notice, Instagram, they have a lot of travel influencers.
Sure, sure.
So there is a difference between the two, between a travel influencer and a travel consultant. It's a good business if you love to travel, for sure. I don't know. I know towards last year, a lot of younger people were getting into it, but we have a 19, who knows? I haven't really taken the
Sure.
time to check, but we definitely want younger, because a lot of the travel agents are retiring. I'm kind of in the middle age
Okay.
group, but there's older ones that have been around since the 60s or 70s that, they're going to retire for
Sure,
sure.
sure.
Hmm.
Well, let's move into kind of what our topic is today that I wanted to really talk about, because we've mentioned the word already, COVID-19, a couple of times.
Hmm.
And what I really wanted to do is talk about some things that people need to know in regards to traveling during this pandemic, because initially everything was just kind of shut down. There
Hmm.
wasn't a lot of travel going on. But as I'm going on my Instagram and my
Yeah.
social media accounts, I'm seeing
Hmm.
more and more people starting to travel a little bit. And I think more people are open to it. And with winter coming up,
Hmm.
excuse me, more people are probably going to be looking at trying to, especially I live in Minnesota, so it's cold.
Yeah, you're like,
People
I'm
are
out.
going to try to get out of here,
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that are upon us for traveling, and then maybe there's some things that we don't know about that you could tell us about that are advantages, maybe with
Yeah.
pricing and timing of booking. So right now, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen between traveling pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Of course, the difference is people are afraid of traveling because there's no vaccine right now. So, of course, the biggest change, wear a mask, right? Um, some of the countries, like in Europe, have closed borders for US citizens. And even to Hawaii, I just got news that starting October 4th, 15, I think, they're going to allow you to come in, but you do have to have a test for COVID. So the thing that's different is that a lot of destinations are going to start, just the trend that I'm going with is that they're going to require for you to have that test, and within 3 days of travel, it has to be negative.
Okay.
Now, the other change is cruising. That we're still working on, the cruise industry, how they're going to be able to maintain social distancing.
Sure.
So the biggest question that I get asked is it safe to travel? Right now, if you keep it within the United States, it's pretty doable. Just be careful, do your research, and you'll be okay. But definitely the the difference is how people feel about, is it okay to go?
Sure.
That's the biggest question. Hmm.
Do you so are the cruise ships completely are they shut down right now completely still?
Yeah, well, some of them are. Some of them in Europe have allowed like their European citizens to go on river cruising.
Okay.
Um, but right now, pretty much because what's happening is depending on the countries and if they allow for a cruise dock, it's a lot of components, you know, a lot of because when you're cruising, you're going to different countries,
Yeah.
and different countries are going to require different things. So
Yeah,
that
that
I'm kind
makes
of
sense.
waiting to see how they're going to do that. To be honest,
That
yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that it's a little safer to travel within the United States. Is
Mm-hmm.
that based on the fact that most places have the kind of the same guidelines
Mm-hmm.
and kind of rules in place?
Yep.
All right. So what are some places that you think, based on what you've seen, might be more difficult to travel to? Maybe popular places that, people had been traveling to in the past, but might be a little more difficult to get to, or you can't get to at all.
I think Europe would probably be difficult, especially countries like Italy and Greece, which are the top here in the Northern California. That is the top place that people like to go to. How are those countries' government going to um, react to us? You know, meaning as U.S. citizens, they've closed right now. Of course, every 2 weeks they look into it and see our rates. Is it rising or is it going down? So I think that is the biggest question that a lot of people, you know, you were able to go to Italy and Greece with no problem. Now it's kind of like wait and
Yeah.
see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are some places, like, are Asian countries open to U.S. citizens, or are they banned still now, or are we
Uh,
banned from going there?
yeah, we are banned. Asia is a little bit different. Like I think there was Indonesia, one of those countries in Indonesia. They might start charging you to go in. I
Oh,
think it
really?
was like
Wow.
$3,000 for you to
Oh,
go.
wow.
I was like, oh, I guess they're gonna make money.
Wow.
Mm-hmm,
They see an
mm-hmm.
opportunity there, huh?
Absolutely,
You
for
want to get here
sure.
bad enough, these Americans will pay.
We'll charge you $3,000. Like, what?
Wow. What about
Interesting.
Latin countries? Like I mentioned before, like Dominican Republic, or, maybe like Colombia. What are the regulations right now to go to those places?
Think you're okay. I mean, you're going to Mexico, right? Is that
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
correct? Yeah, right now those areas are okay. Colombia, I'm not really sure, so I really can't say, but most of them are okay that I've heard because, you know, they haven't, if anything, one of the things you got to factor in right now with travel is it's, you know, it's play it by ear because it could be okay today, it could be 14-day quarantine tomorrow, it could
Yeah.
be, you know, they can close the borders, but right now it seems okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, let me ask you this: like, what are your top tips that you could give us for traveling right now? I know when we had talked, you were like, you should get insurance on your trip. What are like 5 things that you could think of, maybe off the top of your head, that people should really be, looking at when they're booking these kind of trips, maybe international trips or even domestic?
First, travel insurance. Second, make sure you plan everything as much as you can. Uh, Third, if you can do online check-in, you know, for the hotels, like they call it, I don't know what they call it, but you can just check yourself in through a hotel without having to come in contact with anyone. Second, fourth, the rules of the countries in regards to US citizens traveling. And five is just be careful, always wear your mask, you know. Those are the things that I can think of right now.
If
Mm-hmm.
somebody hired you to book their trip, or is that something you would help them with? You do that kind of research for them?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
That's good to know. So they could come and say, hey, we're only really interested in hotels. We can check in, online, and you can go in and go ahead and put that time in for them to find that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what are some places you would say people should avoid? Like, is there any hot spots right now you would say, hey, you don't want to go here at all? This is not a good place to go to.
Oh, wow. That's a very good question. Um, hmm. I would say probably Asia right now. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, at top of my head, just be careful and watch out for the regulations of what they have with US citizens.
Yeah.
Because culturally, of course, were different, but definitely that area of you can, because you know, yeah, that's where I would say use cautious if you can. But
Let's
yeah.
talk about
Mhm.
travel insurance, because that seems like
Mhm.
that might be a really important thing right
Yeah.
now that people need. How does travel insurance work? Do you get it on your entire trip? Do you get it
Hmm.
on your flight? Can you get it on your hotel? Maybe you can kind of break down the different scenarios of travel insurance.
Okay, so travel insurance before COVID-19 will work three ways. You can get insurance to just cover medical, like if you're traveling overseas, that if something happens to you, like you break a leg, that would cover your medical expenses over there. Then two, you can buy travel insurance to cover your whole trip. Like if you need to cancel, if you get sick here in your, you know, United States, you can cancel because let's say you got the flu, or you were going to the airport and you got a flat tire, so that would cover you. And then there was one that covers you cancel anytime, like you just want to change your trip, you can just say that, change my travel plans, and you will get 80% back. But if you do cancel because of medical reasons, then you get 100% back. Because of COVID-19, that has changed for sure. So what I would emphasize is, I mean, the airlines were very flexible, you know, when this all started, but now travel insurance is probably the best bet to include it in everything, your flights, your hotels, your cruise, your tours. Just lump sum it and add it to it. It goes by age, of course. Um, but you know, I mean, I had a client that was just going to Vegas, and he was for sure, I'm not going to cancel. I'm not going to cancel. And something happened because of COVID-19 in Vegas. He wanted to cancel, and he didn't get travel insurance. He got a certificate. So that in itself can tell you that, you know, you just have to be safe, and just, it avoids a lot of headaches. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Does your agency, do you book insurance through you? Do you guys, are you like a
Yeah.
third party administrator for that kind of stuff?
Yes. We
Okay.
have a vendor that we work specifically with, that, you know, when, if someone's interested in travel insurance, the first question though, one of the things that people need to be aware of, the minute you book your trip is the minute you get your travel insurance, because that just, before you could wait a little bit, now you just can't.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because they
Yeah.
want to kind of get you, make sure you get it in there and,
Yeah.
you know, kind
By
of
a
taking,
certain
yeah,
timeline.
taking
Hmm.
advantage of the situation. But it's also something that people probably need more than they did in the past, I would say.
Right.
So are there, you said you'd mentioned that travel insurance in the past would cover somebody like if you broke a leg in a different country or something. So are you saying
Hmm.
that, and I don't know how deep we can get into this, but are you saying like if I went to, you know, Mexico and I got sick, typically American insurance isn't going to cover any issues out there?
No.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
You got to definitely, okay, let me rephrase. It can, but you have to check with your insurance carrier whether they cover you outside the United States.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the, yes. If not, then it's out of pocket for you.
Okay.
Hmm.
And
If
what
you
are
don't
the,
have any sort of time.
typically, what are these kind of limits that you might see, policy limits on international travel insurance for medical?
Usually I see it with older people because they're on Medicare. I think it's Medicare, right? I'm not,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Oh no, what I was
um,
asking is like for the policies that
right.
like travel agency you guys offer, what are the kind of the limits that people might
It only covers up to $10,000 for your package person.
have? Okay.
The limits, of course, if you if you go over, you know, if something happened with your leg and it costs $500 or $200. I mean, the thing is that what insurance costs here in the United States is very different from what it is
Yeah.
in other
Yeah.
countries. It's definitely cheaper over there. I had a
Yeah.
client that something happened with her arm and it only cost $50 in the United Kingdom. Here, you know, it costs thousands of dollars.
Sure, sure.
So the limits, you know, I mean, if you, it really isn't. The only, what I was saying about Medicare is like if you are older and you want to use your own insurance, Medicare does not cover it
Okay.
in other countries.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
just a
Hmm.
guarantee. If you're older, you have Medicare and you want to travel somewhere, you almost need to plan on having some kind of medical insurance, especially
That's right.
during the COVID times, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
So like what do you think the the best place somebody to can travel to right now, whether it's just here in the United States? Where are you seeing where people are still having fun, things are somewhat open but still safe?
National parks, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
that went crazy. Um, yeah, like national parks. Boating has been very popular. I don't book with that, but definitely lake travel, like people
Yeah.
RV, road trips, boats, and yeah, that's what's been popular in the United States, but
Wow,
definitely
that.
national parks. Hmm.
Do you have any recommendations on how people should book flights? Should they be booking them out further ahead of time? Should they be booking them more like, a couple days before, waiting till the last second to book their trip? What are you seeing out there?
Definitely the trend, I would say, in the last 3 years, don't wait for the last minute. I
Okay.
mean, the thing is that I know you have people like Expedia or, those third party vendors that if you get that special, it's probably one seat, or two. But if you do last minute, one of the trends that I've noticed is that availability, people were traveling a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
and if you waited for last minute, you might not have some availability anymore, meaning
Yeah. Yeah.
seats and
Are prices higher or lower since the pandemic? What are you seeing there?
Ooh, it's interesting you're saying that because I had a scenario this Friday. Southwest has always been known as the lowest carrier, right? Not necessarily anymore, but it was a round trip from LA to Kansas City, and it was like almost $700.
What?
Yep.
On Southwest?
Hmm.
That's
So the
Delta. Those are
trend I've
Delta
noticed,
prices.
yeah, I know, right? Um, but I've noticed, yeah, they might be going a little bit higher. I was thinking of going to Lake Tahoe because Lake Tahoe is really close here in Northern California.
Yeah.
It was over the holiday. I think it was Labor Day weekend. One of the hotels was charging like $500 a night,
Wow.
and I'm seeing a trend of prices might be a little
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is going to make
Because
it.
they want revenue, of course, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what's happening with the hotels and the airlines, they had to cut down a lot of their flights.
Yeah.
Hotels had to cut a lot of their services.
Yep.
So you can see where the trend is going
Yeah,
a
they're
little
making
bit.
it
Yeah.
where the average person's gonna it's gonna be harder for them to afford to travel. Like it's gonna
Hmm.
become a more of a luxury thing for people that can afford it. And another thing
Yeah.
is businesses are requiring people to work from home, so they're not traveling as much
Mhm.
because of Zoom. Like we're on a Zoom call right
Yeah.
now.
Whoever thought, I was like, boy, I wish I would have invested in Zoom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
Buy those
right.
stocks.
Exactly, exactly.
Whoever would have thought that Zoom would be like this, right?
Yeah. I got a question for you. What do you think is safer? Do you think it's better to stay in a hotel right now or Airbnb?
It's your comfort zone because hotels have to follow CDC guidelines. The Airbnb, I don't know. I honestly, I just don't know. I know that I've had friends that have traveled with Airbnb. They bring their own stuff,
Yeah.
like to clean, but I would definitely check since I don't work with Airbnbs, I don't book that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know what their guidelines are, to be
Sure.
honest.
Sure.
Hmm.
What are you seeing in regards to flights? Are flights now fully booked or are they leaving a row open still? So there's a somewhat social distancing. What are you seeing with that?
It depends on the airline. I think Delta was the one that left the middle seat unoccupied, but definitely people are still traveling.
Yeah.
It's the flights, of course, are not as I haven't traveled since I was supposed to go to Canada this year, but because of COVID
Border
19,
shut
that
down. Yeah.
blocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
blocked. I can't. All I can see that there is a trend that people are beginning to feel, especially the younger people, I would say, feel that they can travel, a little bit safer. But yeah, so far, I mean, it's the airlines have cut down their schedules a lot, so a lot of the flights might be full, but it's because of limited scheduling of the flight.
Is it
Mhm.
making it harder for you to book trips for people with the limited flight schedules and hotels or?
Oh, well, we as travel consultants have access to like a CRM system.
Sure.
So we can look at flights really quick,
Okay.
and then so far what I've seen is just more of the schedules cutting down. And it is
Okay.
going to be hard because routing, instead of you going nonstop, now you have to make a connection, or it's just, that's just how it goes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. A friend of mine was flying to Mazatlan, Mexico, quite regularly on, I believe it was American, no, on Delta, and they were having three
Hmm.
layovers, and it was like a full day of travel. And then what
Three?
happened is,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it was like a 22-hour travel day. And what was
Wow.
happening was, if the flights weren't fully booked, they were canceling some of them. So one
Right.
day it took him like 2 days to get home, and he stopped flying Delta, and then he went to American Airlines, but you had to book them out almost a month or two in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to be paying like $1,500. And now some
Mm-hmm.
countries starting in November will resume their kind of seasonal flight, but that's once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the past it was
Mm-hmm.
every day you'd have the flight
Mm-hmm.
coming in and out. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely seen a change there, and how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a little bit different out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I stayed at a
Yeah,
hotel
it's
recently.
very different.
Yeah, I stayed at a hotel recently in downtown Minneapolis, kind of where I'm from in the Twin Cities, and just kind of do a staycation. And I was talking to the hotel, the front desk guy, and he was like, on average, they're at like 10% capacity.
Yeah.
And he was like, that weekend they were at 70 because it was holiday weekend, but
Mm-hmm.
typically they're operating at 10%. I'm like, there's no way this industry is gonna survive that. I don't see how the hotel industry can survive this. And frankly, I don't know about the cruise industry as well.
That, I mean, like anything, one of the things that once the vaccine, if it comes out, I don't know when that's going to happen, people will travel. That I can
There'll be a
assure
huge
you.
uptick. Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
where do all these people? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because,
But how
you want to
long
get
will it
away.
take?
Yes, I do.
How long can they hold
Hmm.
on? Is really, that's really what it comes down to.
Hmm.
Will the government give them more money and
Exactly.
stuff to hold them through until then? So are you?
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
I got a question for you. What's your favorite place you've ever traveled?
You're going to laugh at this. I am, it's in the United States, believe it or
Okay.
not. And I love New York City.
Oh, really?
I'm
What
a,
do you love about New
yes,
York?
I'm a city person. The hustle and bustle of the city, the artistic part of it is just one of my favorites. And of
Yeah,
course, I would say second to that is Hawaii. I like Hawaii a lot.
yeah, yeah. I've never been to
Mhm.
Hawaii before. I hear it's beautiful
Mhm.
there.
It is. It's very beautiful. Yeah.
So if somebody called you today and say, I want to book a trip somewhere just to have a little fun and relax, where would you tell them? Where would you advise them?
To travel to?
Yep.
That's a very good question. I would say uh, probably stay within the United States if you can for right now.
And
This year,
anywhere
2020.
particular, anywhere particular in the United States, Vegas, Florida, California. Where is a good spot where people can still?
California.
Yeah.
California. I'm just kidding. No, California has, besides, it just has very beautiful coastal. I don't know if you heard of Highway 1 here in California. It's just a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
You're right next to the coast. Um, wow, I like Lake Tahoe. I mean,
Sure.
but internationally, it's really, I would say internationally, if you're able to do it, try Tahiti.
Okay. Okay.
And the reason why is that because it's just beautiful. I haven't been there myself. I was gonna go, but something came up. But you do have to prove that you've had a COVID test within the next 3 days.
Okay.
But if you could, I would definitely suggest Tahiti for sure if you
Okay.
can.
Okay.
Hmm. I know it's a little bit harder when you're where you're at because you have to come down to LA and then LA to Tahiti. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know I
yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah. But I've had worse problems, in my life than going
Yeah,
from
there you
going to somewhere
go.
warm to somewhere warmer.
Yeah, because the weather over there is harsh, right? And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Twin
yeah,
Cities, it can be.
yeah, yeah. So I want to talk, as we kind of wrap up the show here and kind of ease on to the end. I want to just kind of get to know a little bit more about you and like where people can find you. So I know we connected on LinkedIn, but like where can people contact you if they want to book a trip or have questions for you about travel?
LinkedIn, for sure. I have a Facebook group as well.
What's the name of
And
that Facebook group?
it's Veronica Sharp. AAA Travel Group, and that's on Facebook.
Okay, okay. And
Hmm.
what about an email? Can you give out your email if people
Yeah,
wanted to contact with you?
absolutely. It's veronica.sharp at norcal, NORCAL AAA.com.
All right. And then again, if tell just for one, just kind of a recap, tell the audience if they hired you, what do they get that they're not going to get from Google or Expedia or Travelocity?
That's a very good question. When this pandemic started, the only thing my client had to do was contact me. I took care of everything. I've had people call from who didn't book with me that just needed my help because they were on hold for 4 hours or 5 hours. So the value that I can bring is that you just call me, email me, talk to me. I'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. That's the value.
And
Mm-hmm.
they can contact you, it's like 9 to 5, basically. Just you're available for them.
Of course, but I mean, with once the pandemic came, we have so much virtual access that an email. And the thing is that we have contact people with the cruises, the tours, even the airlines sometimes, that we can do something that really quickly instead of, people waiting for days or being able to call the airline. And I know how frustrating that can be, but
Sure.
since I've had 20 years of experience, I just know what to do.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do people need to have some kind of account? Do they have to pay some kind of membership fee? What is the cost to people to work with you?
Um, well, if you're a AAA member, of course you get member benefits, but if you're not, you can still work with me for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. That's great. Well, this is the Permanent Lifestyle podcast,
Yes.
and I kind of started what I call the permanent lifestyle, basically just
Yeah.
making changes to your life that are permanent, kind of living a positive, healthy life. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been asking all of my guests this one question here: what does living the permanent lifestyle mean to you?
Means that in life, strive to be the best that you can and just look for, be happy for sure. Positivity. It just once you have it, hold on to it and just have that permanent lifestyle of no matter. I know we all have ups and downs, we have dark times, right? But just know that nothing is ever the same.
What do you do personally if you're kind of feeling low and you need to kind of get yourself back up? What's a tool that you have in your tool belt that you pull out and you use to kind of get you back on track?
I exercise. I watch Zen videos or just look um, meditation, and
Yeah.
just tune things out. Have that somebody, I can't remember who said, learn to be in silence because that kind of helps you to, if there's something hard going on in your life, just makes you think, okay, I can work through this. Having that self-love for yourself and being able to, but exercising is just helps me so much. And I'm in prayer for me too as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, we're going to wrap up today's episode here. I want to thank Veronica again for
Thank
coming
you.
on and just kind of sharing with us some of her expertise on travel. As I was saying, the travel season is going to pick up here with wintertime, and are going to be stuck in the house. It'll be going on like almost a year. People are going to be
Mhm.
itching to get out. So if you guys need to get out and you don't really know where you should go, what you should do, hit up Veronica Sharp. And that's Sharp, SHARP. And you can find her on LinkedIn. You can find her on Facebook. She has a Facebook group as well. Just kind of put it in the search, find it. You can message me directly. I can send you a link as well. So Veronica, thank you again for being here today. And to all my
Thank
guests, you're welcome.
you.
Yes, you're welcome. And to everybody listening, thank you again for listening. If you find any value in the show today, please go share it to your social media. We'd like to have more listeners and we'd like to bring more value to more people. All right. Thank you again and have a great day full of positivity and productivity.